Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And this is seriously one of the greatest recordings ever. It features the late Christoph von Dohnányi, because I thought that since he passed away recently, and we've been talking about him a little bit, I might as well do a greatest recording ever, because he certainly made quite a few of those, but this is really special, and it has a really interesting, sad history. It's this one, Ives and Ruggles orchestral works on Decca with the Cleveland Orchestra. Boy, is this fantastic. Dohnányi was a contemporary music specialist. I mean, he was frankly a better conductor than Pierre Boulez, and he had better taste in music. I mean, he could do this modern stuff like nobody's business. And this particular disc contains two masterpieces by each composer, Ives and Ruggles, and then a bonus by Ruth Crawford Seeger. I mean, you don't get better discs of American music than this, which is why, before we talk about the contents in detail, which is why it was so pathetic that Decca totally, completely, utterly ignored this. I had to get this as an import. I mean, it says it's on London Records, but it really wasn't. This is a archivemusic.com reprint. The original disc, which I also have somewhere sitting around, was on Decca, and I had to get it as an import from Europe because Dohnányi's reputation in Europe was, first of all, better than it was here, and second of all, Decca US at the end of the major label Dominion era was just a god-awful mess. And they treated the Cleveland Orchestra so shabbily. There were fantastic albums coming out, mostly of contemporary music or Bruckner or Dohnányi Ring or, all these things that they were embarrassed to say even existed. And if they imported them and released them domestically at all, it was something of a miracle. And they did absolutely nothing to promote them. I mean, I was a critic. I was willing to write wonderful things about this stuff because I knew how good these things were. And they didn't care at all. In fact, they were threatened by good publicity. Good publicity was a threat. The reason it was a threat is because if somebody said something really glowing about something that they didn't even bother to release, then A, they look stupid, which of course they were, and B, they might have to sell a few, which they didn't want to do. I mean, they really didn't want to. It was expensive. You had to have physical product. You had to bring it in. You had to distribute it. People wanted to get it. They didn't want to make it easy for people to acquire these things. I know that sounds unbelievable and extraordinary, but that's what was going on at the end of Dohnányi's tenure in Cleveland, because the label was just a complete disaster. So they made these recordings, and this one contains Ives' two fabulous orchestral sets for large orchestra, 3 places in New England, which is, of course, amazing, and the orchestral set number 2, which very few people know as well as the first one, 3 places in New England, because it doesn't have a title, but it's just as good. I think in some ways it's even better. It's phenomenal. It has 3 movements: an elegy to our forefathers, the rock-strewn hills join in the people's outdoor meeting, which is one of those, crazy potpourri type Ives things. And then this amazing, amazing finale. From Hanover Square north, at the end of a tragic day, the voice of the people again arose. It is the story of what Ives experienced when the news was published of the sinking of the Lusitania, and people spontaneously gathered outside and sang a hymn at the same time that the subway, the elevated subway, which was elevated then, now it's underground, but back then, the turn of the 20th century, it was elevated at Hanover Square North. And I worked at 10 Hanover Square. I knew exactly where this happened. That was one of my earlier jobs in real estate banking. We had an office. That was my office, was at 10 Hanover Square. So at Hanover Square, everybody gathered, and the subway pulls in and goes out while they're singing, and it's just an incredible piece. Absolutely amazing, fascinating piece of music that nobody else could have written or even imagined. So these are all given sterling performances, exemplary in their intelligence and clarity and balance, and they're just amazing. Amazing. I mean, Dohnányi treats the music like the great music it is, and does his usual thing, which is to play it with total fidelity and just a feeling of inevitability. It's amazing. So, Carl Ruggles, nasty, vicious, curmudgeonly, anti-Semitic bastard is what he was. And he was an extraordinarily individual, maverick composer who wrote vicious, chromatic music. It's marvelous. It's just great. He lived forever. He only wrote like 11 pieces of music in his life. He lived from 1876 to 1971. And wow, baby, Sun Treader, which is just a hot mess of a piece. It's 14 minutes long, and it I don't know how to describe it. It's so much fun to listen to, and it sounds like what it is. Like if you ever wanted to take a walk on the face of the sun, I'll bet this is what it would sound like. It's incredibly intense and gnarly, and it's thrilling. Absolutely thrilling. And Men in Mountains, which he actually called a symphony. It's in 3 movements. They are marked Men, then Lilacs, and Marching Mountains. I mean, the whole thing is only, let's see, 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, 9 minutes and a bit in 3 movements. But as with all of his music, it's really, really, really intense and powerful stuff. And its brevity is one of its great virtues. It really is. And then as a bonus, we have Ruth Crawford Seeger's Andante for strings. Another gnarly chromatic essay, but a wonderful bonus. And this is just a fabulous disc of tough, worthwhile American music that, you know, it was like, you know, we did this recently. We talked about Neville Mariner's American music album and how, yeah, I mean, here you have finally an American orchestra doing American music. And, of course, the label doesn't care because it's not going to be a big seller. I get it. It isn't. But if you're going to do it, do it right. That's my only point. You know, there are ways to do things that are right and ways to do things that are much less right. And this was less right because the album is a stunner. It's a knockout. And certainly one of the greatest recordings ever. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.